kiss your career goodbye. Now, of course, when he released his book, I mean, he was into his early 80s and would pass away not too long afterwards, in fact. So some people would say, well, I mean, he knew he was going to die. He needed to make some money. What did he have to lose? Possibly, who knows?
We don't. Hey, we need to go on break. We're going to be back in 4 minutes. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio. Our guest tonight is Tim Swartz, and James is out there somewhere. This is Gary on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
Roof of Broadcasting Building. I'm speaking from the roof of Broadcasting Building, New York City. The bells you hear are ringing to warn the people to evacuate the city as Martians approach. Estimated in the last 2 hours, 3 million people have moved out along the roads to the north. Hutchison River Parkway is still kept open for motor traffic. Void bridges to Long Island hopelessly jammed. All communication with Jersey Shore closed 10 minutes ago.
You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network. From our compound to you worldwide. With your host, Gary Anderson.
Hey, that is me. I want to do a big shout out to all the truckers that download and listen to the show on various radio stations. I just want to say, hey, without you, we wouldn't be here. So anyway, Tim, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And Gary, I wanted to add something to what James had asked earlier about William Corso's, philip-corso's son. Philip-Corso Jr., whether or not that he had any trouble himself with the military trying to shut him up. And the thing about this whole fear, I think, that a lot of people have that they come out with too much information, that they're going to end up on the wrong end of a gun from the military. But most of the time, the modus operandi is that the military says nothing. These people make these claims, and the majority of the time, there's no response, because any kind of response basically is confirming the information that's coming out. So the way to handle it is to say nothing at all and just basically let the person who is making these stories, albeit sometimes wild stories, just dig their own ditch. Because if somebody goes and says that, hey, I have proof that the military has alien bodies at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and then a week later somebody breaks into their house, shoots them, and steals all the information, well, you've just confirmed that what the person was saying is probably true.
Well, I think at one point in the early 90s, that actually happened with a lot of scientists that was working on technology. That, it was really strange, as my late friend Art would say, that a lot of them died in a month's period of time, like of heart attacks, car accidents, house fire. A lot of things happened to some people that were working on sensitive technology that were starting to get outspoken. And all of a sudden, things started happening to them. So I think there is things out there that I guess that would stop people from talking, too. If you all of a sudden know that, hey, one of your brother scientists just died because of a car accident, which we know probably wasn't a car accident, or a heart attack, or it was just too many of them died in a very short period of time. I think that would tell you really fast, don't talk about certain subjects.
Yeah, a lot of them were British scientists that were working with various companies on the whole what was it, space defense initiative.
Oh yeah,
for the United States. Yeah, and some of those suicides were kind of bizarre. There was one scientist who he went and tied a rope around his neck, then tied the other end of a rope around a tree, and he got into a car and then hit the accelerator.
That is kind of bizarre. I guess maybe
very bizarre.
I think he wanted to decapitate himself, but that is a hanging. I only a scientist would think of that, but I got a funny feeling, or maybe somebody was having a little fun with him and torturing him before it happened.
I don't know. That whole situation that you're referring to is very weird, and but again, though, if this was some kind of hit, or a number of different hits, it sure brought a lot of attention to themselves, because, like you said, I mean, there were a number of these scientists who just one after the other died very unusual deaths, and in a short period of time. So, like you said, it could very well have been that this was a situation where a warning was being sent to the survivors. Who knows?
I don't know. I think with today's technology, with the internet, the way it is now, I don't think they would even done that, because that would have hit like you wouldn't believe everywhere instantly, and people would have started putting together something is strange. Some of the claims that the technology that he was giving away out of that filing cabinet, like fiber optics and laser and a whole bunch of other stuff, I can believe some of it. Some of it I can't, but I do know, as I've fooling around with electronics as long as I have. My dad was an electronic engineer. He was at one point in charge partly of development of the SST on the electronic end many years ago for Boeing aircraft. Its technology took a big jump, which doesn't make logical sense. For years, we were on tubes. Then a scientist invented the transistor, but from the transistor to the integrated circuit was kind of strange. It happened really fast.
It did. Well, and that again, that's another one of the controversial claims that Corso made, was that his office had this filing cabinet with these various items in it that were allegedly gleaned from the Roswell crash. Now, a lot of skeptics say, "What? That's all they had? That's all they were able to get?" But you have to remember that supposedly the material that was taken from the Roswell crash was divvied out to all of the different branches of the military. The Air Force got some, the Navy got some, and the Army got some. Each one, their job was to try to figure out what they had and what could be done with it. So now, Corso was brought into it. This would have been, I think it was started like 1960. So here they've had this material since 1947, and it wasn't until 1960 that supposedly that somebody was given the job to do something about it. So my question is that did the Army just kind of set on this all this time, not knowing what to do with it, or had or was this stuff just the stuff that was left over? That they had more originally, but this was the stuff that nobody had gotten to yet. And plus, also, it could have been at this point the easy stuff, the stuff that could be figured out. It's like you said at the beginning of this show. If we're dealing with an actual extraterrestrial society with a science that could be hundreds, thousands, who knows how far advanced, would we even know what we're dealing with when it comes to this kind of material? It could very well be that, okay, so Corso had what turned out to be fiber optics, a kind of night vision, and then the transistors, or transistor type of technology. It could very well be that this was stuff that was from, a child's toy, kind of like like a rubber ducky or or something like that. And but to us, I mean, this is like far advanced technology. I'm making a joke here, but the point I'm making is that this stuff could have been just the least technologically advanced material that was taken from this ship, and the only thing that we could actually get a finger on how it operates. Because I mean, you look at this kind of material now. I mean, we've had fiber optics for quite a while. We know, how to make it, how to mass produce it, very quickly. It's getting to the point where it's almost antiquated. Same way with transistors and night vision and lasers and all of this other stuff. And that's just 50 years. 50 years since the time that Corso allegedly farmed it out to various corporations to try to make use of it.
Well,
so if we're dealing, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the transistors. I think what he gave out was integrated circuits, because we had transistors before that. Now, the person who invented the transistor was invented around 1959, 58, right around there. It was
Right.
cumbersome because, I mean, a transistor, each